Video is sponsored by my OnlyFans, where I do my meaningful sex educational content, fitness, health, nutrition, relationship advice, and more. And hi guys, and welcome to the Empress Show with me, Gary, and of course, we are getting back to 40k because, well, I'm a freaking 40k fan, the Empress. Hi guys, so there's just a lot in the past few weeks, and that's why I had to cover that a lot, and it's not Warhammer, but of course, as you know, most of my content lately for the past like 2 years is Warhammer, so we're getting back to it. And I do have to paint my custodies, and bring back, not bring back, create the third one, because now I have two complete ones and I have to film the third and then the fourth and then the fifth, and anyways. And Henry Cavill just so happens to be a Custody fan just like myself. So guys, we have to talk about what is Henry Cavill going to do and what is he going to start with, because obviously 40k is a huge universe and it's so vast in fact that I don't know what the heck, how do you just approach this? Well, I'm going to tell, sorry. I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking that he should do and maybe he would do, because he is a real 40k fan. So if you really love the universe, you will focus on some main things. But let's not get totally ahead of myself. So I think that if he really, if he really wants to do 40k justice, he has to consider two things. Basically, the story and the point of his the point of his start, and then of course he has to consider the budget, because probably Amazon is not going to dump a huge truck of money. I mean, they will, but we don't know if that's gonna be like rings of power levels of money. Although where did those money went on that show, I don't know, but it's crap anyway. That's my own opinion. So they probably will not risk it that much as they did with rings of power. So maybe we can assume very reasonably that Amazon are going to maybe go for half budget. So what then will Henry do? Well, I do think that we can have our cake and eat it too. What does that mean? Well, I do know that not all fans want like the complete story on screen, although I don't know why wouldn't you? The story is absolutely amazing, and in the center of that is the Emperor. So you have to start with the Emperor, guys. That is the key, that's the heart of Warhammer. That is like everything, because he did build the universe. I mean, he did build the world of 40k, the world of 30k. Everything that we know is coming from his birth until now. So he is the one. He is the pivotal figure. He is the most important creature in the universe, not only for humanity, but in general. And who will Henry play? And once again, because I also listened, of course, to his interviews, he said that it has to be someone important, because otherwise we are leaving other characters like Primarchs on the table. And of course, we are leaving the Emperor on the table. Now, we did talk about this before, but now we're just going to expand and make, well, you can say a bit more educated guesses overall on the whole topic. So a lot of people wanted him to play Eisenhorn. I don't think that is logical at all, because Eisenhorn, although yeah, he's a cool inquisitor, he's just only one human in the vast scheme of things. And there are so many more characters that are a lot more important. And if you are someone that is one of the top fans, probably he's the most famous fan, that is of the world of Warhammer, then why would he, especially if he has creative freedom, why would he even decide to play a smaller character? It just doesn't make any sense. He's a leading man. He has all the qualities. The Emperor is an enigma. He can look the way that he wants to look, and of course, we are perceiving him that he is a handsome guy, like a manly, handsome guy. You're probably not thinking about the Emperor like some kind of a nerd, very scrawny guy or something like that. You're thinking about a freaking Chad. And that is how he is depicted in art. And I think on the tabletop too. So the Emperor is a freaking Chad, Henry Cavill is a freaking Chad, and he is worthy to play this role. And of course, he has to start from humble beginnings. I mean, the story of the Emperor is not like he was born and the whole world just shut off and the only light in the sky was the light that signifies the Emperor's birth or something. I mean, as far as I know, he was just like born as a man, and as time progressed, he just became, well, a guy that's more powerful physically, mentally, and all of that. He's a perpetual, of course. Eventually, he stole from the powers of chaos and he became what we know today, a much more powerful being overall. So that means that he can play the Emperor from the very beginning, since he was just a man. I mean, he was not never just a man, but the point is that he did look like one. And then going from there, when his power started to grow, the way that he appears to people, that always can be done with CGI and lots of lighting and lighting effects on the eyes. I mean, I don't know why people cannot see Henry as the Emperor. I mean, so some can, but back when we first started to talk about these things, because Henry was such a big fan, and even before, I mean, that was before we knew all of that he's actually going to influence anything, and little that we know that we are going to get something for real this time, a real live action 40K adaptation to some extent. So before that, a lot of people were like, oh no, he's not the Emperor. The Emperor is this guy that looks like this or this. Guys, he just has to be a Chad, somebody with a manly look, square jaw. That's it, pretty much. He can pull that off. We know that he can pull a long hair very well, because he does play the Witcher. Well, he doesn't anymore, but right now he's the Witcher still. And the Witcher just came out actually online. So when with the long hair, if that hair is black instead of white, he is the Emperor, like true and true, just no brainer. So in terms of how he looks, he does fit the part. In terms of his passion for this character, I am freaking sure that the Emperor is his number one, basically. So yeah, if I was Henry Cavill, I would be like, I'm playing the Emperor. And the best way to start the universe is in the very beginning, because in the very beginning there will not actually be a lot of budget needed, because think about it, the Emperor is going to be born, it's going to be like ancient times, there's not going to be a lot of technology. Of course, you do have to progress the story in some kind of a way. You cannot just sit in the caveman days and be like, oh, good, Bob, bad, or something like that. Yeah, so you gotta progress things. But you can maybe make 1 or 2 seasons where it's like a lesser budget, and then go to the cosmic stuff, like go to the Siege of Terra, not Siege of Terra, sorry, Horus Heresy. I went way, way forward in time. So, you can go through all the Earth's developments and periods. The Age of Strife is obviously very interesting. You just go through every period in some kind of a way, to some capacity, just relying on the source material. As much as time was spent in the original lore about all of these periods, that much of a time can be somehow compressed and realized on screen in a reasonable manner, so we don't sit here for 10 years watching the emperor just from birth to adult or something like that, but we do have to skip ahead to some extent, and it's very easy to do that when the emperor actually doesn't ages. So we can get to that part where he creates the Thunder Warriors, he conquers all of the earth with the Thunder Warriors and the Custodes, and then we can get to his reign and basically the meat of things, 30K. And like the end of, I don't know what, the fifth season or something, to be like the Horus Heresy, and then we start with the 40K. And what will Henry do if he's just like in the Golden Throne? I don't know. But if we even get to anywhere as close as that storyline, it's gonna be pretty amazing and a what? A testament, sorry. A testament to the fact that the show will be successful. Now, hopefully. So yeah, first of all, to sum up, guys, Henry is the freaking emperor. And by the way, I have to post this. Of course, this is a part of original 40K art. I don't know who did it, but it's one of the best arts. Basically, the Emperor versus Horus. I just took that and put Henry's head on it. Created a bit more light around his head. Now we have this image. So if you want this image, I can upload it somewhere and just paste it on the community tab so you can get it. And also, of course, in our Golden Astartes Discord server. So guys, basically I think that we can definitely have a universe, the start of the universe with the Emperor. We can also actually, take some time. Henry obviously can take some time and explain the creation of the universe, maybe with the Catan, the Old Ones, the Necrons. All of that could be explained very easily, like in a few minutes probably. And then they can just continue and start with the creation of the Emperor. Maybe if that is made canon, we will actually know how the Emperor was created. Was he created because many shamans decided to kill themselves? Or he was created by some kind of a shard of a Catan or whatever else? So they have to come up with something to explain that. They could not, they didn't want to, but yeah. Oh, thanks so much, Matty. 31 months since you remember. That's amazing. And of course, thank you so much for Dear Clayton for his super chat. It was very sweet. Thank you. I don't think the people will like. What is that? Wanting kingdom building of the emperor. He even don't appear on the books that much. Well, that can always be done with skipping in time. Whenever the emperor was present, whenever it was relevant to show him, you can just concentrate on those moments, and that way you can have the emperor all the time. I'm sure that Henry can figure this out. He is very smart. He's been in the movie business like for 15 years. Oh wait, he's 40. So 20 years. Jesus, he's 40? That's crazy. I do not accept that. Well, at least he looks much younger, so there's that. That's great. Okay, so I think when you have a very good desire to do things right, you can do them right, guys. And I just because we already seen how when you do a TV show or whatever it is, really from like somewhere to somewhere. Let's say what we now see from GW and their shows, it is just a bummer, to see how things are adapted, like not even like an episodic manner when one thing is after another, except Black Talon, and except, Black Talon is one thing, that's not 40K, but when we have the Dark Angels, Angels of Death, there everything is connected, okay, but this is still a story of one chapter somewhere in the universe and some period in time. And if you're not a Warhammer fan, you will have no clue what the heck is this. who are these guys? Why are they wearing huge armor? Why are they fighting some disgusting aliens? Some of them look like humans for some reason. I mean, you will be like totally confused. The ships look like cathedrals, or like a cathedral had a baby with a regular wooden ship from the time of the Little Mermaid or something. So you have to start from some kind of a beginning. You have to focus on the Emperor, just very important. You still can use that as an opportunity to develop his character more, because characters like the Emperor, they're so hard to be written, then just, the writers just avoid writing them altogether. And when you have a glimpse of the Emperor somewhere, you're like, oh my gosh, it's the Emperor and he said a word. And every time that I'm listening to a Warhammer book and the Emperor is there, I'm like, the Emperor said something. Oh my gosh, he is talking to Sanguinius. I am here, I am alive, I am witnessing this. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so yeah. That's for the last Horus Heresy book that we're still waiting for, volume 2 of it. And of course, it's very interesting when a Primarch speaks, when Sanguinius speaks especially. But when the Emperor speaks, I'm like, yeah, I mean, more character development, more insight to what he is thinking and what type of guy he really is. I mean, I know what the type of guy he really is based on everything that I know by this point, but that is it. His personality, his deeds, his character traits, all of that is sprinkled throughout the whole Warhammer universe. And for Henry, it's going to be a huge and big, opportunity to just take whatever he can throughout the depiction of the Emperor and make him like the main guy as he is, and maybe add a bit more to just maybe explain a bit more. So it's just so interesting. And if he does that, he can have like one vocal point from which everything else like grows, So the Emperor is like the seed of the universe, and everything comes from him. Whatever he does, it affects everything and everyone. And I mean the humans, and obviously the planets then that he conquers, the planets that he terraforms to be another colony of humanity. There's just amazing stuff. And then the conflict with the Xenos. There are so many Xenos, the Orcs, the Eldar, Jesus, the Tau. So yeah, the Necrons, of course. So you can make a whole show about the Necrons. You can make a whole show about anyone really in the universe, because they all are fascinating and they all have a lore that's larger than most things in science fiction in general. But if you do that, if you just do what GW have done so far, just take this much of a story somewhere in the universe and just blop, just make that, just pop it into existence, and then take another one, it's like Snowflake, and you just do this bloop. And I personally don't like it, guys. It kind of like loses its impact when you don't have like the consistency of a story that just goes and has some kind of a continuity to it. I mean, it does, but you don't know it because you just see these little pieces. So I don't think that he should do that. I think that in order for people to grasp the universe, we have to start from the beginning. Like, for example, imagine anything else that's not 40k, like Star Wars. Star Wars does have a beginning of the story, and of course we went back at the beginning, the prequels, to tell that story, but we do have consistency. We have start, we saw what happened to Luke, the Skywalkers, and it ended, basically. No matter if it sucks or not, I'm just saying what it is. It has point A, you're going to point B. In the Warhammer universe, you do have that, but it's just continuing on and on and on. It doesn't have an end yet. The point B is going to be today. Fast forward to today. What is happening now in the Imperium? So to start adapting a series, or if it's a movie, you still have to start from the beginning, and where that leads you, what can you put on screen for the time that you have, you just have to make the best of it. And to do whatever the material you want to put on screen, justice. You have to do it justice. You have to pick the best, the best, the most important material, everything that's relevant, everything that really matters, and put it on the screen. So for new people to be introduced to 40K, it's very hard, guys. I mean, I got introduced to 40K because of the Astartes project animation by Sam Peterson. He's not even an official person. Well, now he is, because he is working for GW. Still have no idea what the heck's happening with that, but point is that I had to be completely lost at the beginning. Like, which are the novels? What is that? What is this? Oh my gosh, this is, this universe is so from 100 years ago. Where to start? Most people will not have the dedication or the time. So a TV series could explain everything in a very, very nice way, very good and well put package. And by starting with the Emperor and telling the story of Terra, Earth, how it became Terra, that all can be done like in an episode, at least to sum up like the universe creation, who are the Catan, who are the Old Ones, the Necrons, the War in Heaven. All that can be like summed up in like a montage or something. It doesn't have to be with like details and episodes, because it really is not what it is anyway. In the lore, it is an explanation. You can go after like particular things, maybe, the War in Heaven, more details, but once again, whatever is most important. And then you get to the birth of the Emperor, how that came to be, why it was necessary for him to be created, or maybe a Catan shard got sentient. I don't know what origin story they are going to go with, but that's also super interesting. If they make that canon, whatever that is, that version that Henry wants to make canon, I guess. And after that, you can just fast forward, like the first kill that he did. That's important. He killed his uncle, as far as I remember. Then his first, what he studied, how he studied to be a warrior, how he built his mind, how he built his, you can say wisdom, but he's not really that wise, unfortunately. It's complicated. I've talked about this many, many times. I'm gonna check your comments just a second. So, yeah, how he became the man that he became, because it's extremely freaking interesting. There's no one person in fictional universe that is like him, because he lived the most, he saw the most, and it was just amazing how he became this conqueror, and he united the whole earth, which never happened before. And then, of course, he met Malkador, and that relationship is so freaking deep and interesting. And how Malkador helped the Emperor to become the man, and not the man that he, that he became to become. Jesus Christ, that he had to become. So he is worthy to be the Emperor. Let's go with that. And so on. And that, in that way, guys, that the point is that in that way you have the best, possibly, well put together story about the 40K, simultaneously about the Emperor. Amazon will be able to attract a lot more new viewers and fans that will actually understand what's happening here. So it's good for us, because we're going to see all of those things on screen. It's faithful to the story material, to the original lore, so it's all okay for us. And it is perfect as well for all the other people that have never heard of 40K and have no idea what the heck is that, and they only maybe seen bits and pieces here and there. They may be seen somewhere on a Stardy. Maybe they played a Space Marine game, the first one, and they were like, "Oh, these guys are cool," but the rest of the lore, I just can't. I'm just like, ugh, the rest of the lore is like, oh, my head. So this is going to be good for absolutely everyone. So that's why I think that that's the best way to go. And of course, budget-wise, also it's going to be totally not as much as they paid for Rings of Power. Of course, you can always like totally throw money at the window if they really wanted to, but the point is they don't have to if they're going to go in this way. And then eventually, if the story is successful, they can just go all out, get to the unification wars, get to the creation of the Astartes, and then we're going to have big battles and armies, and cosmic stuff, and huge palaces that span for miles, basically. Yeah, pretty freaking amazing, I would say. So let me see now, guys, what you are thinking. But this is my thesis on the matter. We cannot ask Henry what he thinks, but I'm pretty sure that if he really wants to do this, he would want the same, to start from the beginning. So everyone, old and new fans, can be introduced to the universe. Introduced. Jesus, English today. Yeah. And everybody can be happy. I cannot wait, but I'm holding my breath as it's a prime. And we know what prime is and does. Yeah, but if Henry didn't have creative freedom, he would not join with them anyways. He doesn't want to make a dud. Yeah, a lot can go wrong. I think they need to take baby steps. Oh, baby steps. Not try to do something too grandiose in terms of special effects and all of that. Build a foundation for the future. Yeah, basically whatever I said. Hey, Metra. Catchy Mac. At this stage, almost anything he starts is interesting considering the scope of the 40k universe. Yeah, of course, but like I've said, if he does things, how GW does things, just taking like a snowflake from here, a piece of the puzzle from there, and nothing is like really connected, this just doesn't do any justice to 40k, and nobody outside of the universe will want to watch this because nothing is explained, nothing is clear. Everything's like, what is this now? I'm confused, I'm lost. Everything else that we're used to watch, even Foundation now, by the way, Foundation's going to come out on Apple. Foundation, Dune, everything has an explanation for the universe, why it's functioning the way it is functioning, and who rules it, what are the factions, what the heck's going on. So we do have to have this structure and this point A, and then going to point whatever B it is in the future. Okay, guys, that is what I think on the matter. Let me know what you think on the matter. We covered the budget. We covered that. We covered the fact that we have to have some kind of a beginning point, and we did, of course, covered what is going to bring the new and the old fans. So all of that combined, start from the beginning, explain things, and then just move on, focus on the Emperor as the focal point, and from there everything can just fall on its place if you focus on the Emperor. Oh, Josh, hi to you. How about if this started when the Emperor goes to Mars to take over the Mechanicum? No, because still you have no idea who's the Emperor. You have no idea who are the Mechanicum. You have no concept of these things. We do because we're the fans, but people that have no idea. And remember, if we want Warhammer to succeed, we have to make it so everyone can see what it is, everyone can understand it, everyone can have a concept of what the heck is this now, So if you ask someone, hey, do you know what Star Wars is? What Star Wars is about? Anyone can tell you pretty much, almost. And when you ask about 40k, everyone are gonna be like, a death, it's dark, it's grim, it's 40k, and the other person is gonna be like, what? Because it's really not even comparable to anything else. The way that 40k is done, just not. where do you have Astartes? Where do you have aliens that are called Xenos, Necrons, Ketan, the old ones? Okay, you have a lot of orcs in other universes, but those are space orcs. You have the Primarchs. Like, what the heck are Primarchs? So you gotta explain the Emperor on its own as a whole universe, him by himself. So if you start from him, everything's gonna be solved. Everything's gonna be in order if you just start from his story and go through it like the beginning real fast and then focus on the important stuff. Continue from there, eventually reach the point where he is going to defeat the Mars Dragon and all of the things that transpired with the Mechanicum. But you gotta go through some kind of a progression to see how humanity developed, to see that we went to the age of strife and we forbid all artificial intelligence, that we had STCs that were like the key to creating anything basically, and then one part of humanity conquered Mars and they became weirdos. So you can explain that, it's not that hard. You can show it. There's so many things that are shown in movies and shows like fast but enough. But if you don't do that, and if you just start from somewhere that has no connection to anything else, just going to fall flat on his head. And we don't, and I mean, this way we don't have any connection to those things at all. It's just like if I tell you that, oh my gosh, the other day I decided to use this for my nails because it's for my nails. And you'll be like, what? Why are you telling me this? And I'm like, well, it's important because you see, this was originally not for my nails. Yeah. I mean, you can't tell me that you don't get what I'm talking about. Okay, exactly. No one is going to be a fan if they don't know what's going on. Everyone, sorry for joining late. Don't worry, Josh. Of course, you can just watch from the beginning. I agree, it's still nice to know what will be the state of things. Yeah. So yeah, this is how our brain works. So this is how our emotional attachments to things work. I only got really emotionally attached in general in 40K when I actually realized what is the story. I started from the beginning. I started researching the lore from the very beginning to understand what is this, and then I started to grasp one fact after another, how 40K is 40K, what makes it so, and how different it is from everything else. We could just talk about the warp, like for days, just about the warp, and how that is important to the material world, basically, to the real realm. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some terms that are exactly 40K, but right now it's just too late. It's close to midnight. But yeah, the point is that even that has to be shown, explained, and by the time that the Emperor was created, that was not as bad, so also you can show that in the meantime, just in passing, and therefore, put the seeds for everything that's gonna happen, and create all of the concepts, like seamlessly explaining them and growing them up as the show progresses, just very seamlessly and naturally, and absolutely all all human beings that are watching it are going to be able to be like, oh yeah, 40K, well, it's about thousands of years in the future. There was this guy that had to be born, apparently the Emperor, and eventually, because he is like immortal, he managed to gain a lot of power and influence, create his own army and conquer the whole earth, unite everything, and then the technical progress came, and then a lot of other planets were conquered. He needed a lot of soldiers, so he created the Thunder Warriors, then Custodes, Astartes, and so on. And there's other races that despise us, and we are also not very good in general. and the emperor has all of these powers, and he sees the future, and he created his sons, and there's these powers of chaos, and the warp was created because humans and Eldar and everyone just put their negative emotions and deeds in like a non-material form and just send them to the warp, and you can do it. Okay, you can do it. It's just a lot, but that's why a TV show format is gonna be the best for this, and that's why you have to start from the beginning and not from, oh my gosh, the left side of the universe and the planet Ooga Booga, for example. Because when I'm watching Hammer and Bolter and they're just focusing on a single place in the universe where it's like a Terran planet and there's obviously the Astra Militarum there, and all of a sudden they're shooting at something, it turns out that are the Tyranids. At the end of the episode, some humans that look like humans turned out to be gene stealers. Okay, I know about these things, but I'm not hit emotionally. Why should I care? Because the universe is so vast. This is only happening here. There are a million more worlds like this. Why is not the meat of things presented on screen? What really matters is the main plot. It always has been. The little tiny stories individually are endless, and ultimately the more you focus on these, the less the universe matter, because you're not focusing on the main storyline. Will the Emperor return one day? I mean, if we fast forward till now in the current lore, will another Primarch return? Are there going to be like conflicts between, let's say the Lion and Gilliman? And how they're going to deal with that if there are conflicts, and are we going to see another Primarch, and if the Emperor returns, what's going to happen? Are we going to see even more Primarchs? Are the powers going to be like even out between the Imperium and Chaos? Because if you get more loyal Primarchs to return, then Chaos will be weakened and they will have a lot more to be concerned about. So there are just so many things that are just just better, okay? Better, more interesting, and not the left wing of the right wing of the left side of this side of the Imperium, It's ridiculous. Okay, finishing reading your comments and I have to go. I would welcome Dark Tide in movie TV series format. Would be small scale entry point story wise. No new animation Warhammer TV. Yeah. Well, Dark Tide's again one of these examples of just very small story somewhere. And when you saw already so many like these, because the main story is harder to adapt, so they just don't want to deal with it and they adapt everything else. Once again, the quality of the whole universe just drops tremendously. They could always begin with some huge event, leave on a cliffhanger after a short promo, and then go back and tell the story of how we got there. They can do that as long as we have some kind of a beginning. That's really the beginning. The heresy lore was that drew me really in, but that's way too late to jump in. It's probably, yeah, it is too late, because you don't have the emotional connection to the Emperor and what he did, so we can get to the whole heresy to begin with. So yeah, the heresy is an extremely interesting, storyline on itself, but as a fan, I did have to go back and learn about everything else, and then continue with the heresy. And I was actually shook by what happened and how Horus changed, how he was convinced that he has to go against the Emperor, the things that happened to him. I was then very much engaged in what was happening. But if I didn't know what happened before, which was everything, thousands of years of story, why would I freaking care about anything in the heresy? It's fascinating, but only if you know the characters, only if you know the Emperor and the Primarchs and the story of the Primarchs. and how in the whole history of the Imperium such a treachery was unheard of. It was even unheard of for an Astardi to even think like 0% of betraying anyone, let alone the Emperor, let alone sometimes their own Primarch, you know. Yeah, I wanted to say the Emperor as the most important guy that you should not betray, but anyway, point is that that was shocking to them. So all of that, how they think, the Astartes, and the differences between each legion, they hit you hard. I mean, that is why people like different legions, different chapters, because they have some specifics to them that are fascinating and makes them different out of all of their other brothers. So yeah, you can't just start from the Horus Heresy, because who cares? Uh, who cares if you don't know anything else? So that will allow them to have a second promo with the basic explanations. I sense a disturbance in the warp. Dorn is returning. Well, one can hope. I want my primer back. Yeah, of course, I always be super mega happy if Dorn returns. I just want Sanguinius back. Like, that's like necessary for me. But if Dorn returns, like, all the power to Dorn, like, amazing. I would love that as well. Okay, guys, I love you. Tomorrow I have to get up early. Very early, to my dismay. But at least it's for something good. I have to walk the puppies, as usual. And then I have to catch freaking Indiana Jones. Because I gotta, you know... I didn't even know that I'm gonna watch this on the big screen. But, my... Okay, my friend Logan's friend, that's not necessary to explain, but he got a free ticket, and we're just gonna get another ticket, and we're just gonna see the movie, and it's like at noon, so we gotta, you know, I gotta get the puppies out, and just fly through the movies somehow, and watch Indiana Jones like this. Well, hopefully it's not gonna be that bad as we thought, but who knows? Who knows, guys? We'll see. If you're interested in a review, well, let me know. So, love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the super chat, dear Clayton. Thanks for all the golden Astartes and Primarchs that are members to the channel. Yeah, I pray for you, Empress. May your eyes stay in your head and not be damaged by this lame Jones movie. Hopefully so. And yeah, have a great weekend, guys. And if we can do a review after, depends on the hour and everything else that we have to consider, we will. If not, well, not. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people are not gonna watch the review. If we do it, we're just going to do, for the few people that do want to watch us blab about this movie. Yeah. So thank you for watching, saying it, staying it away, you principal alone. Yeah, well, at least I'm going to give half price for the second ticket. So, yeah, it's not that bad, I guess. I mean, you know, it's a good time with the friend and the other friend of the friend. So at least I'm going to get some, like, fun time. So yeah, it's for the whole experience, not that much for the movie. Okay, guys, love ya. If you like to support me, you know where. OnlyFans, where I do all of my meaningful sex educational content, fitness, health, nutrition, relationship advice, and my own physique updates. Everything that you need me for, I'm there. Love ya. Bye bye.